first, I have to say, I said it off mic, but I'll say it again. What an honor to have a chance to speak with you. Air Supply was one of my, and still one of my all-time favorite duos. You guys were a massive part of me for the 80s. So, like I said, it's an honor to have a chance to speak with you. And the first question I need to throw out at you, how does it feel being the storybook through your music for so many people around the world when it came to love, romance, um, for breakups, for bringing people together, and of course, making all those babies back in the day and
Yeah.
still doing it because through your music.
Well, it's first of all, I can't believe it. It's been so long for us, 49 years this year. It's very humbling to see how much our music has touched so many lives all over the world for generations now. Every time I hear, and I don't listen to our music at home, certainly, but if I'm in the car, it comes on Pandora or Spotify, whatever. It's just always gives me a thrill because it always takes you back to when you made the recording and who was there and what was going on. But we've had so many wonderful stories about the effects of our music. In fact, we shot a video in 1982 in Hawaii for HBO, and several years later, I got an email, a letter from a lady, and she said that when she gave birth to her child, her first baby, she had our video playing in the delivery room because she wanted her baby to be exposed to something, whatever she got from it, something positive and, beautiful sounding and stuff like that. So, and we've had people that were, even as heavy as it is, contemplate suicide, and our music made a difference to their place. Had a couple of people came out to their parents, and their parents disowned them, and our music was quite of a solace to them. So you never know how it affects people, but it certainly has done in a very positive way for nearly 5 decades now.
5 decades still touring. How many days a year do you guys tour? It looks like it's an amazing list.
Yeah, it is. Well, last year I think we did 130 shows plus, and I think we were home for I don't know, maybe 75 days or something. In fact, I got a notification from one of the airlines, uh, or actually no, TripIt, that traveling app that people use. Last year, apart from driving from place to place, we did 191,000 miles in the air. So that'll give you an idea about, what we do and how we do it.
Well, you guys do it well. You do it better than a whole lot of people. And that's one of the reasons why you're going to be at Falls View Casino. Fans cannot wait for this. What kind of show is this going to be like when fans get there?
Well, first of all, and I always hate to say obviously, but obviously we'll be playing, Sweet Dreams, Here I Am, Lost in Love, etc. For those of you who haven't seen us before, the band we have now, which is goes from I think 10 years to a few years with our drummer. They're incredible players. They're young, so they make us look better. They're phenomenal players, certainly. It's a rock show. It's loud, so if you don't like loud, then bring some earplugs or have a lot of cocktails. Either of the two works for us. And it's energetic. You'll hear everything that you want to hear. And I'm not saying this, but it is the truth. Fallsview is one of our very favorite venues. It's quite intimate. And being in Niagara Falls lends itself to romance, of course. A lot of people get married there. A few people decided to jump over the falls, which was quite silly. I think a couple of them survived. It's just a great place. And the great thing about coming to see us, especially when it's just us on the bill, people come to see and hear us, nobody else. So you've got that collective energy of, romance and positivity. And it's always a great thing. And no matter what happens during the day for us, and we've, had some horrendous travel days, when you step on stage and we start playing the first song and people respond in such a positive way, it makes it all worthwhile. And it's a cliche, but if we didn't have fans, we wouldn't be here. So we treasure them and appreciate everything they do to support us every day of the year.
You know, the one thing I forgot to add on that list I gave out was losing virginity to your music too. So there's a lot of things
Yeah,
that
well,
your music.
I actually didn't, but that's another story.
That's another story. You know, we know you. We know both you and Graham as they use the term soft rock, but you've always been a rocker yourself. Eh, in fact, isn't there a story about you and the Beatles or something? I was trying to dig up.
The only reference I think was we had at the time, which has been surpassed many times, we had five consecutive songs in the top five, and only they'd done that before us. So, but that's that's like saying comparing us, a flea to an elephant. Uh,
Ah, I
it's
don't know
just
about that, man. I got
well,
it. I gotta stop you there. I don't know about that because, like I said, you guys have done so much, but you have been a rock fan over the years.
well, we've never considered ourselves soft rock. In fact, our publicist Steve Levesque, who takes care of all our media stuff and PR, I told him, I don't know how many years ago, especially with written, journalism, don't call us soft rock because we're not. And every time, Australian duo, a famous soft rock Australian duo, and I always say, come to the show. I mean, and I must admit, though, the early recordings would make one think that it was, uh, string quartets and acoustic guitars, but it's rock and roll, and it's a very dynamic show, very loud. But you'll hear the songs the way that you remember them, with a bit of oomph. Another thing that we're very proud of is that I've been to shows, and I'm sure you have, where this person or the actor's been one of your favorites, and they play a song, and it takes you halfway through the song before you figured out what song it was, because they rearranged it so much, it was like unrecognizable. We are faithful to the original arrangements, but as I said, it's got some punch to it, and our piano keyboard player is great. The drummer is from hell. He's a dynamo, and people really uh, step away from the shows when we speak to them, saying, "Wow, I didn't realize it's going to be that loud," and also I didn't realize, oh, that was your song. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that was your. You did that. Oh, that was your song. So we've got a lot of ammunition with us to let free, and I love the show. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. Graham and I certainly, past the days of having to do it if we didn't want to. But I love the guy. I love working with him. I love the music. I love to travel. There's no reason for me not to want to do this, and I do. I love it with all my heart.
What is the magic between the two of you? Because when I think about back in the day, I mean, we know what happened with Wham. They
Yep.
broke up and we lost George Michael. We now know what's going on with Daryl Hall and John Oates. They can't even be in the same room with each
That,
other.
that
But you
that's
both
enough.
have always stayed together.
Well, we're I guess we're lucky, I guess. The bottom line with us is, and I'm quite up to date with the Hall and Oates story because I know some people associated with them. It's a nightmare, and it's sadder than it's a tragedy,
Mhm.
But Graham and I met in '75 when we were in Jesus Christ Superstar together. We started to work together only about a week after we met, so we've been working together that long. Um, we're both from working class backgrounds in London, I mean, in England and Australia, respectively. You can't live in Australia and be brought up there with too much of an ego, because people will cut you down at every step of the way. My parents always drilled into my sister and I, be polite to everybody. Everybody has a story to tell. Respect your elders. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Uh, not be quiet, not shut up and disappear, but just be respectful of everything, especially when you're dealing with your elders. Um, Graham has amazing talent. I can't write a song to save my life. He doesn't want to be the lead singer. And he tells the story every night that we've never had an argument, and we certainly haven't. We've, uh, I don't think we've even bumped heads. I mean, musically, it's his show. I mean, it's his vision for what Air Supply was going to be and wanted to be. And, you know, I get to sing with him, not diminishing my role, because I certainly don't think we would have had the success without the both of us. But we loved being on the road together. We have a lot of fun. We don't see too much of each other when we're not working. He lives in Utah and I live in Southern California. So when you get to see the other person, it's you know, chance to catch up, even though it's maybe just a weekend you're apart from each other, or 3 or 4 days. I don't know what it is. I guess the secret is there's no secret, and then the other thing is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know.
That goes with that voice of yours. Nobody can sing Air Supply songs because your
Well,
voice is such a
yeah.
a tradition for those songs. Nobody can
Yeah.
re-sing them. Where did that voice come from, man?
Um, my dad was a very good singer. He sang with big bands in the 40s in Australia. My older sister, who's no longer with us, bless her, she had a great voice too. So I think genetically it was there, but I didn't sing at all till I got into Superstar. I mean, I played drums in a band when I was in my teens, and I maybe sang uh, Louie Louie or Hang On Sloopy. They were they were easy to sing. Um, but when I got into Superstar, the music director asked me if I would meet him after one of the rehearsals, and, you know, stay behind. And I thought I was in trouble because I didn't know anything about anything then. So, you know, we went into the music room, he had a piano, and he sat down and he started to play. You know, he said, sing this note, sing this note, sing that note, you know, and I got up to what, I don't know what it was then. I still don't. But, you know, and he said, he played a few notes back to back, and then we had a chat, and he said, can you sing those notes I just played you? So I did, fortunately. And he said to me, I want you to understudy Jesus and Judas and Simon and Annas, 4 of the biggest roles in the show. Certainly Judas and Jesus. I was lucky enough to understudy a guy called John English, who also is no longer with us, and phenomenal singer. Roger Daltrey, If You Closed Your Eyes, that was him, you know. So I got to play, the first time I played it, he injured himself just before the first half was over, and I went to my dressing room, and the stage manager came in and he said, you're on, which scared the hell out of me because it's a huge part. And to make it worse, before the curtains opened in the second act, the theatre announcer said the role of Judas in the second half will be played by Russell Hitchcock, and it was all boo, you know. So anyway, I did it, got through it, and I did it a couple of other times, and then it got to the point where John would say to me, I'm going to be sick next Tuesday, so just FYI, you know. So it wasn't a surprise to me, and a wonderful experience. I don't know whether I said I played it like 50 times, and I got to play Jesus once, and in those days I had an afro that was, you know, bigger than big, you know, and it wasn't permed either, folks, natural. I got to play Jesus, and, you know, that's certainly when I did Judas as many times as I had, to play Jesus and see the cast react to you so 180 from what they did when you were Judas. It was quite something else. Anyway, I did the show, and I was back in my dressing room, and the promoter or the producer came he happened to be at the performance, and he was very gruff guy, you know, and had no filter, you know. And he came back, and I was on first name basis with him. I said, what's up, Harry? And he said, I got to tell you something, Russell. You've got a great voice, but nobody wants to see Jesus with an afro. So you're not doing it anymore.
That's good. Well, no, let me tell you something. The brothers would love to see you as Jesus with the afro. You know, the one thing that really gets me right now is back, and I've seen the pictures. When did you become so in love with tattoos? I love the tattoos that you have. You kind of showed
Oh,
one on your hand. Yeah. When did you start tattooing yourself? They look amazing.
Air Supply. right there.
Wow.
I got my first when when my daughter was born in 1988, which is a tiny rose up here. You can't even see it anymore. It's so small. And I was terrified to get a tattoo. So I said to the guy, make it small. And as every tattoo artist will tell you these days, make it big or there's no point doing it. So I didn't do it for about 5 or 6 years. Then I lived with a woman in Arizona, and she was tattooed from the back of her neck down to the backs of her knees, everything in Japanese culture, you know, koi fish and samurai and geisha and all that stuff. So she didn't encourage me, but I got a few more. But this has only been like 2 or 3 years. You know, I just thought, hey, I'm not getting any younger, and I love tattoos, and so why not? You know, and I'm actually got a big piece on my back that I won't show you. It's only like half done. It's outlined, and he just started to color it. And I actually regretted doing that one because it's so painful. I can't tell you. These things on these things here, they were the most painful of anyone I'd had so far. And I actually had tears in my eyes. It was so painful. And when the guy tattooing you says to you, this is going to hurt, you know it's going to hurt. So, but I love them. You know, I mean, I'll do the thing on my back, and I want to get one other thing, which is a line from "In My Life," the Beatles song. It's going to be in my life. I loved you more, and that's for my wife, Carrie. So I'll be done after that.
Well, we're glad that you guys aren't done with music. I want to ask
Oh no.
what it was like back in the day when you guys came to North America and your music just exploded on radio, on television shows. Like the one thing I always remember most is watching Solid Gold, especially when Andy Gibb
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
hosting. You guys
yeah,
were on almost literally every other week. In fact, if I
yeah.
was really to look this up, you guys probably performed on Solid Gold the most than any other artist or group or
Yeah.
whatever.
We would have been close. I mean, that was, you know, you have to understand a few things. We started Air Supply in 1975, but couldn't work until Superstar was over. So we had 1976. Uh, we were still in the show. We released an album and a single that went crazy in Australia. Show finished in October, and in January we were asked to open for Rod Stewart in Australia. So we're a band for 3 months, and we're opening for Rod Stewart in Australia. And then after the second show, he came to us and said, "Would you like to open for me all across North America?" In 1977. So that was 60 shows: Madison Square Garden, Candlestick Park, the Forum, the Astrodome, the Superdome, the Enormodome, whatever it was that was big. We played it with him, and then we came back to Australia. We were dead in the water. We couldn't get arrested. Everybody had forgotten about us totally. And I was used to sing jingles for a friend of mine for $20 a pop. And Graham went to South Australia and was kind of reclusive. And that's when he wrote The One That You Love and All Out of Love, among others. So when we had a hit in America, and of course, my exposure to the US growing up was television. That was all. So when I arrived in California, and and I saw, excuse me, and I saw a black and white. Hang on a minute, I've lost you again. You know, when I saw a black and white police car, it flipped me out because we there.
Yep, still here.
Yeah, I saw a black and white police car flip me out because I'd only seen one on a show called Highway Patrol, and yeah, Broderick Crawford. I'm that old, folks, and it was just overwhelming. I mean, it was everything that you'd seen on TV and multiplied by 1,000,000 times, you know. And we were lucky enough to stay in Los Angeles for a few months, and obviously in the 70s, that was crazy, crazy, crazy. We stayed at a hotel called the Hyatt House on Sunset Boulevard, which they used to call the Riot House, because all kinds of shenanigans went on there, and just overwhelming. And I mean, the first time I heard Lost in Love on the radio, I was actually driving down Sunset towards the beach to meet Graham for lunch, I think, and I was in a convertible, you know, big old me, and the song came on the radio, and I had to pull over because I was in shock. I mean, it was just, you know, it's me in an instant where I came from, my parents being so supportive, being in Australia, then being in the United States with a song getting played on the record, not knowing whether it would be a success or not. And then when we went on the road, it was just chaotic for 3 or 4 years because we were the teenies, young girls as favourites, and their mums too. We used to do, I think, 10 months on a bus during that period at a time. It was crazy. Loved it. Stayed out of, I didn't get into too much trouble, but it was a fun time. A lot of great memories.
But the thing is, you guys also crossed over on the R&B charts and the soul charts too. Like, that's what I mean by your music was
Yeah.
so iconic. How did that feel, knowing that your music had no boundaries? I mean, you could have been on the country charts as well.
Yeah, well, that's true. You know, until you just mentioned it, I never thought about it. But you're right. You know, we kind of garnered audiences from pretty much every genre that you could name, but I didn't think about it. I'm going to think about that more now after we hang up.
One thing though, with everything was big, you guys did tour Canada. Do you remember touring Canada? And do you remember, I'm in Toronto right now. Do you
Right.
remember touring in Toronto?
Well, a few things about Toronto. I think that was the first date we did with Rod, and we stayed in a hotel that looked at is it the Space Needle or something, or the big
Oh,
tower there.
you're talking about the CN Tower then.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could see that out of the window, and that was mind blowing. I remember touring there in a winter, and the promoter, whoever that was, booked us into a lot of ice rinks. So the stage was built on the ice, and it was freezing on stage. It was freezing because it was everywhere was freezing. You know, the guitar players had to wear gloves, and I think I wore scarves and stuff. But and not giving you unnecessary praise, we've always been treated wonderfully by Canadian audiences. There's a whole different vibe from the US, and I love it here too. But there's a certain warmth and gentleness and inclusion in Canada that you don't find in a lot of places. And of course, you know, Air Supply Music helps to keep that vibe going. But I've got some really great friends in Canada to this day, and the Fallsview Hotel is our home away from home in Canada. We played there, I don't know, maybe 10 times, and we always get great views, great rooms that look over the falls. In fact, I was there I don't know, 10 something years ago when it froze. Do you know what year that was?
Oh, I'm trying to think of it, but I know what you're talking about though. I
It
know
was in the
exactly
two,
what you're talking about.
it was in the 2000s, I think. And that, you know, for anybody, first of all, who hasn't been to Niagara Falls, go. And if you ever get a chance to go there when it's frozen over, to see this body of water that's immeasurably powerful and big to just be stopped is really mind blowing. But love Canada. We just played in Calgary a couple of months ago. We used to play the Stampede back in the day. You know, we've been around the block, and we played. One of my favorite places ever was Halifax. That's kind of out in the boonies, right?
Yeah, right now they're full of snow, like literally
Yeah.
5 to 10 feet of
Yeah,
snow
yeah.
out there. So, but
I love
yeah,
that.
no, great place.
I had some of the best pork belly in my life in Halifax. I still remember it.
One of the interesting things though with you guys is the hits, the songs that are memorable. What would you say if there's one song? What would you say, either the biggest hit or the one that absolutely describes who Air Supply is? Which song would it be and why?
Well, I have two favorites of ours. The first one is Lost in Love because it was the record that broke us worldwide.
Mhm.
I mean, we'd had a lot of, as I said, success in Australia. It was a #1 single there, and the album was #1 for several weeks. But when Clive Davis from Arista got hold of it and took that record and the record we made under his wing, and looked after Graham and I career-wise, unbelievably. That certainly was it. But my favourite is All Out of Love. It's I think it's Air Supply's anthem. We typically finish the show with it. It's the most requested song during the night. You know, people go, "Let's play All Out of Love." And I say, "Shut up, we'll get to it later." No, I don't say that. Yeah, that's it, because it really is beautiful, and you know, it's. I think that if you ask anybody that was kind of a fan but not into the Archives fans what their favourite Air Supply song, they'd probably say All Out of Love, I believe.
You know, Netflix right now is doing the documentary, showing the documentary We Are the World. You guys didn't perform on that, did you?
No, we didn't get an invite. That
Okay.
would have been nice.
Okay. And also with Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All? You guys
Yeah,
weren't
yeah.
on that. Why weren't you guys invited to
No,
two iconic songs where they had great
yeah,
80s artists that you guys would have been perfect for that?
yeah. I can't tell you. I think so much of that is political. You know, it's who you know. I can't think of any other reason, because, you know, I won't. Once again, I don't like naming names, but there were singers on both those projects that I didn't think were that great. And I mean, I don't think I'm great, but I think we deserved a seat at the table, as they say. But you know, it is what it is, and and I've also realised over many years, especially within, well, the recording business is dead, as you well know. It's not even a remote skeleton of what it used to be. But in the day, politics played a big role in your success. Whose butt you wanted to kiss, and we didn't. That's one of the reasons why we didn't have more success on in a public platform, because nobody really knew who we were. They knew the music, and if you didn't watch Solid Gold, then you didn't have a clue. But you know, you can't fight City Hall. That's another one of my favourite cliched sayings, and you can't, you know. And I used to be really hurt by decisions that were made on our behalf without discussing it with us. But it got to the point, well, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. Just do your thing, and Air Supply do its thing, and we'll see what happens. And fortunately, what happened was, you know, success at a very high level for so many years.
We're going to have to wrap this up soon, but I've got to ask,
Yeah,
because this
whatever you
interview
need.
is going to be premiering on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
So I need to ask for some advice. How would you think that somebody should either surprise or, you know, make a really nice day for Valentine's Day for their partner? What do you think they should do?
well, I guess it depends on, are we talking about adults?
Yes.
Okay, adults. Well, personally, I don't like surprises, and a lot of people don't. So, but this is not, you know, don't do this because I said don't do that. I would take my Valentine out for just a dinner somewhere, beautiful place, good food, great service. Spend the money that you don't have on a great first dinner on Valentine's Day, because, and don't forget the rose. I think candy's cool, but ladies appear to love flowers.
Okay, let
And
me stop you there. But what about if they turn around and say, "Don't give me flowers"? Because I've heard that if they say don't give you flowers, you still give them flowers, because if you don't give them flowers, you are in deep trouble.
see, I'm out of the loop with "Don't Give Me Flowers." I've never met a woman that ever said that. I'd still give them to them. Just say, if you're out at dinner and you sit down and you say, you know, "I got these for you," and the lady says, "I don't like flowers," get up, go to a near table with a lady and a guy, and if they don't have flowers, say, "I'd like to give these to you for Valentine's Day."
I
That
love
shows
that.
that you respect the lady that you're with's decision, and it shows her that you're chivalrous. And providing the guy doesn't knock you out, you're in great shape.
Now, for a knockout night and evening, what do you think is the song from Air Supply that should be played right off the top to really put the romance into
Oh,
gear?
ooh, ooh, ooh. Um, it's a song that wasn't a hit. It's called "I'll Be Thinking of You," and I think it's on the Concrete Sky album, but I'm not sure. But um, either that one or Yours Truly, which was on the Yours Truly record, and that has some incredible, complicated harmonies that are very romantic. Either one of those two, they lyrically they very touching.
I love that. 50 years is coming up. Any
Yeah.
surprises that you can give us or any quick info on what the celebration is going to be like for 50 years?
Well, we're in the process of planning a get together. Our the day we met is May the 12th in 1975. So we're going to have something around May the 12th. Hopefully, play a show on that day for all our fans. And for those of you who are interested, you can get information on airsupplymusic.com. That's our website. It's being in the process now, but I know where it's going to be. I hope it's a phenomenal place. We'll be there for 4 or 5 days to join the fans, have a chat, whatever. We haven't figured out this. It's too early for me specifics, but it's going to be awesome, and I I'm hard to please with places to go, even with my wife and I. But this is going to be supreme.
Last question. New
Yep.
music? Are we looking at new music? And if not,
Yes.
can be something that we can look at right now?
Yep. Well, we're going to Canada in next month to finish vocals for it. Once again, this has been being recorded for the last year and a half because we don't have time to take a block of time out from the road. Um, it's going to be great. There's a video out called "Be Tough." That's one of the songs that's going to be on it.
I've
Yeah,
seen that.
great video, great song, but it's in the work, folks, and in the works, and it will be. It used to be. It'll be out now. It's going to be sooner than later.
No, it's a great video, great song. I know we got to wrap this up. There's like a ton of more questions, but I know we don't have enough time. But I've got to say, what an honor. I always say this to myself. Young 80s Rudy, who was driving his 86 Camaro T-Bar, taking it off, would never think in a million years that he would be talking to one of his heroes, that he would have been playing music out of that Camaro. So I got to say, for the both of you, thank you so much for the great memories. Thank you so much for the great music. Thank you continually giving us great memories and music. And just thank you for everything you've done for music. And looking forward to seeing you both at Falls View Casino.
Yeah, well, make sure you're going to be at the show, right?
Hell yeah.
Well, okay. Make sure that you ask for Sparky.
Sparky.
He's our tour manager, and come back. I mean, I want to meet you in person. I'm sure Graham would love to say hi to, and thank you for your support all these years. And this has been. You do a lot of interviews, and some of the people you speak to are duds, and I do a lot of interviews, and some of the guys that interview me are duds. But this has been a pleasure, mate. You have a great energy around you, and it's been a lot of fun for me. So thank you for taking the time.